Peace and blessings, life warrior. Welcome back to another Monday and another Monday message. I am Dharma Shakti, your host, with your weekly dose of something inspirational. We all need some inspiration, not every now and then, but every day. Right? Those of us who are on a trajectory of trying to just really refine ourselves and unfold ourselves more and more into the greatness that already is within us, we need that inspiration every day. And that's what these Monday messages are about, is something for you to think about throughout your week. I'm not here in your inbox every day, but I'm here on most Mondays so that you can carry something with you throughout the week as you strive to make changes in your life that move you in the direction of being more and more of the person that you know that you are. You just need to step into. So here I am in your inbox again, or maybe you found me on my YouTube, maybe you saw this on my Instagram. However you got here, I am really happy to be here with you. I am so happy that you are here and that you're seeking out information that is aimed to elevate you. And I have a wonderful, normally I do a quote, but I have sort of a longer quote today by Simon Sinek. And I'm actually really excited to unpack it with you because I think that it's a part of authenticity that a lot of people don't talk about. And I had an amazing chat with a wonderful friend that I've known throughout the years, who I don't get to see very often, but we've kind of been on a similar journey in our own separate, unique ways, even though we're very different people. We have a lot of common in our leadership roles, and outside of leadership, just what it means to be a real and authentic person who is sincerely and genuinely doing the good work on themselves. And so as I was just reflecting on our conversation, our dialogue, and our shares from today, talking about sort of the realness of the leadership roles that we have, not just the beautiful sides that, get sort of a lot of play on social media platforms, but also the really difficult moments. Like, how do you maintain authenticity when things are difficult and they're not going your way, or they're just going awry, or there's difficulty, there's controversy, or there's conflict, or shortcomings, right? People who are authentic deal with these things. People who are in leadership roles should be dealing with these things. And so this quote today is in light of my wonderful conversation with my dear friend. You know who you are. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today and your wisdom. And if you're seeing this, big shout out to you. All right, so let's unpack this long quote by Simon Sinek. It says, authenticity is about imperfection. And authenticity is a very human quality. To be authentic is to be at peace with your imperfections. The great leaders are not the strongest. They are the ones who are honest about their weaknesses. The great leaders are not the smartest. They are the ones who admit how much they don't know. The great leaders can't do everything. They are the ones who look to others to help them. Great leaders don't see themselves as great. They see themselves as human. Now, I thought that I was looking for things to talk about in my Monday message with you all today, and I landed upon this one, and I just thought this is something that we need to unpack, because a lot of people think that authenticity looks a certain way. And I'm not going to talk about that because there's a whole entire video in itself. The way we romanticize authenticity, or the way we even weaponize authenticity. What do I mean by weaponizing our authenticity? When we just get to be a jerk to everybody and we say, well, I'm just in my truth and that's what it is and I'm just being authentic, right? That's not real, I think, mature and evolved and spiritually progressive authenticity. When we talk about authenticity, it is about being your real, true self. Most traditions and practices of spirituality also lay a heavy emphasis on knowing how your actions, your behaviors, and your personality have an impact on the world around you. They speak to it in a positive light and in a negative light. And so when we are being authentic, we have to also consider this topic in yoga, which we call ahimsa, right? This idea of nonviolence. It doesn't mean that we're never harmful and we're never hurtful. It means the conscious and intentional choice to do the least amount of harm as possible in that moment and in that context, which means that we have to be aware of our authenticity and the way that we present that authenticity. Now, that's a separate rant. I don't want to get too much into it. I really want to talk about this aspect of authenticity today because I think that a lot of people struggle with this. I work with a lot of clients who really, really want to hone in on their authentic self, and this is a part that doesn't get touched on very much, right? So this first line, authenticity is about imperfection. If we're going to be authentic, we have to be real about the areas where we are still struggling. We have to be real about where our weaknesses are, right? If you have been a yoga student of mine or you've taken my teacher training, you know I'm the first to admit I suck at math. I suck at math. I am not wired for math. I'm just not. And I could beat myself up about it, and I can really hold a high standard for myself and say, God, I really should get better at math. And I'm of lesser value because I'm not good at math like other people, right? But that is an imperfection that I have. I could work on it and I could improve it, but I also can just own it. I struggle with math. I just do. It's an imperfection that I have. Do I have other imperfections? Absolutely. And authenticity involves also being really honest, at least with yourself, about your own imperfections, the areas where you have weaknesses, the areas where you're not the smartest, the areas where you can't do those things all on your own, the areas where you know you need help, the areas where you know you're not being your greatest or you're just not the greatest at. Right? We all have imperfections. It's just a part of being human. Our journey is to smooth out those imperfections as best we can, right? To polish the mirror and either come into an acceptance of those imperfections or come into a place of growth with those imperfections. I personally think it's a little bit of both, a lot of both, acceptance and leaning into the growth, the healing and the evolving through those imperfections, whatever that looks like. Right? And so I love this by Simon Sinek because I think it's an angle that isn't discussed a lot about authenticity. Right? Oh, how many of you out there, raise your hand if you can agree with this one. We hide in our own shame around the places where we're imperfect. We hide from it. We hide it from others, and we hold that inside of ourselves, and we maybe isolate ourselves because we don't want to be seen because we're not great at that thing yet. Or we had a little fumble or a little stumble with an old pattern, an old cycle that we thought we healed and got over, and it's resurfaced. And so because we have this imperfection, we can't own it, and we can't just be ourselves, radically be ourselves in all of our beauty and in all of our places where we still need to grow and still show up and be authentic. Right? This looks like those days where many of you have come into my classes and I look like I've been having a day. I know there have been many of you who've taken class with me and it's happened enough times. And I'm sure it'll happen some more where I show up and I'm not having a great day. I'm struggling with something. And I've had to just own it. Like, hey, I'm here. I'm having a hard time being here. I'm struggling with something, and I'm gonna fight through my tears to lead you and teach you in this class as best as I can. Imperfection also looks like the days where I gotta call in a sub because I'm not feeling the greatest, because maybe I didn't handle my self-care so well, or I took on more of a load of responsibility than I should have, and now I have to recover from it. To be honest and open and not hide those parts of ourselves where we're struggling, not hide those parts of ourselves where we're feeling like we're falling short. Now, I don't mean to just go out and vomit your stuff all over everybody and just be 1,000% an open book with anybody and everybody and anywhere and all the time. What I am saying, and what this quote is getting to, is that being at peace with our imperfections means that there is an acceptance there, that we can be radically honest and with radical self-acceptance, which also requires radical self-compassion. I'm not good at holding boundaries, and now I got myself into this sticky situation. To just be open and honest about that, at least with yourself, but an even more difficult yet even more empowering thing to do is to be honest out loud with yourself in front of somebody else that you trust and who has earned the right to hear your story, right? To be authentic means you're able to also acknowledge your imperfections and to say, you know what, I could have done that better over there. Not in a degrading way where we beat ourselves up and we shame ourselves and we go into that shame spiral that Brene Brown talks about, but in a way where we're just honestly self-reflecting. Yep, I still have a trigger around this thing, and that person said that thing, and I just, I didn't lose it like I used to, but I didn't hold my peace about it. Right? To really be at peace with the parts of you that you are still refining. The great leaders are not the strongest ones. They are the ones who are honest about their weakness and can say, like, I'm not the greatest here. I need support here. I need help here. Right? The great leaders are not the smartest ones in the room. They are the ones who admit how much they don't know. They are the ones who admit how much they don't know. When we don't have that sort of beginner's mind and we think we already know it already, we think that we've already arrived, and we think that we have all the tools and the paraphernalias, and therefore, like, we're healed, or we're the healer now because, we got this little piece of paper that says we graduated this course and that now makes us a healer, right? Great leaders are ones who are always willing to look at where they can still grow, where they still need to learn, where they can still educate themselves. And most often those great leaders, right, they know that they're not perfect at it, but they're willing to admit where they're not perfect at it. They're willing to look at it. They're willing to see it and acknowledge it. That requires a level of authenticity that I think is so amazing. And although it is scary to consider being so honest with yourself, I'm here to tell you that if you can just flex this muscle, you are going to be such a strong person from the inside. You're going to be a strong person because you know who you are. You know where your shortcomings are. You know where you need to take accountability, and you're willing to own it. And the quickest way to repair in your life is acknowledgement and accountability. And that takes radical authenticity. So I'm going to read this quote to you one more time so that it can just kind of sink in, and maybe you write it down. Authenticity is about imperfection. And authenticity is a very human quality. To be authentic is to be at peace with your perfections. Side note, I don't think that means that, like, we don't do anything about them. It just means, to me, this means we don't carry shame to the degree in which we hide because of those imperfections. We can acknowledge and accept, like, I'm still getting better at this thing. I still have a hard time not beating myself up when I do something that I know I shouldn't have done. Just own it. Own it. Own it, right? That to me means being at peace with your imperfections. You're not hiding from them. You're not making excuses for them, and you're not pretending like they're not there. Okay? So to be authentic is to be at peace with your imperfections. The great leaders are not the strongest. They are the ones who are honest about their weaknesses. The great leaders are not the smartest. They are the ones who admit how much they don't know. The great leaders can't do everything. They are the ones who look to others to help them. Great leaders don't see themselves as great. They see themselves as human. There's a level of humility in this concept, right? But also a level of confidence that comes because you know who you are, because you are being authentic. You are being real. Be real about the parts of you that you know you excel at. You know where you're gifted. You know your purpose. You know what you're good at, right? To be real about that. To not hide and downplay it, but to know, like, and not to be so braggadocious about it, but you have a knowing, right? And the other end of the spectrum is to also be real around, I'm still working on this pattern over here. I'm still working with this vice that I have over here. And I still have days where, I feel this way about this thing, right? To really be honest about your weaknesses. Be honest with yourself. Don't pretend like you know everything when you don't know everything, right? To be able to ask for help in areas where you know you need help, and to constantly be a student at life. So I really, really hope that this long quote today about authenticity landed with you in a way where you give yourself permission to just be. I have found in my life, from feedback from so many of you out there who are watching these videos, who come to my classes, who get coaching with me, who do my workshops, who do my retreats, that you really admire my authenticity, and that I'm willing to talk about myself in such a vulnerable way. And it takes a lot of courage to do that in such a public platform. But partly what motivates me to continue doing it is getting that feedback from you, that the more authentic I am about my journey, my trials and my tribulations, as well as my triumphs, right? My processes, my progress and my pitfalls, when I talk about those things, there is an element of authenticity that is relatable and comforting to you, in knowing that this is just the human journey. We're all spirit souls having a human journey, and we cannot deny the human aspect of ourselves. We have to learn to work with it. We have to learn to work within it. And I'm so grateful for good conversations with good people who really value integrity and being honest with themselves. I'm so grateful to my friend today who I was able to spend some time with, because we talked about this. We talked about positions of leadership and the responsibility that goes along with those positions of leadership, and the importance of being real and being honest, being transparent. And that doesn't just mean about like how awesome it is to be a leader. It means being real and transparent also about the difficulties and the challenges and the nuances of situations and the ways in which we tend to them. So I really, really hope that this concept doesn't scare you, right, about being authentic about your imperfections, but yet it empowers you to just love yourself more. To love yourself more and say, you know what, I am not the only one dealing with feeling shame around the places where I still have shortcoming. I'm not the only one who is dealing with insecurities in such and such area, right? You are not the only one. And when you open up and speak up about it, other people hear their story in your story, and it inspires them, it motivates them. When they see you moving through that thing with honesty, authenticity, and courage and vulnerability, wow, it gives some perspective. It gives a lot of perspective. And I think that the quickest way to grow, not that like we're in a hurry, but the way to grow that is going to be, what is the word I'm looking for? A surefire way to grow, right? The guaranteed growth is when you are just honest about your imperfections and that you learn to be at peace with them. It's okay if you feel ashamed about something. That is your conscious. That is your ethical and moral side of you saying, this is out of alignment with my values, and so I feel ashamed. And so we can use those emotions as indicators to say, I don't really like that I'm this way, and so therefore I want to make a move to be more this way, right? So feeling ashamed is a natural part of our human experience that actually benefits us. But feeling shame, right, is usually from what we think other people think about that process. And so when we can just learn to be at peace with our imperfections and the fact that we're going to have feelings about our imperfections, and we allow those feelings to help move us in a direction where we feel more aligned with our true self, we're going to feel more at peace with our life, more at peace with ourselves, more at peace with ourselves when other people are throwing their judgments and their misperceived conceptions of us at us. When you know who you are, you're not as moved by other people's judgments. And I'll be really honest with you in light of what this video is about. This is an area where I have a weakness. When I have people that are close to me that I really love, who I feel like are misperceiving me, and they have a judgment about a choice that I made or a thing that I did, it really throws me for a loop. And it's something that I'm working on. It is being okay with being misperceived. I know who I am, and I know why I make the choices that I make, but I also know that I'm not perfect. And it is only in being authentically honest with myself in my self-reflection. Why did I make that decision? Why does this bother me so much that they think this about me? Why does this rattle my cage, so to speak? And I have to work with those imperfections in order to refine myself. Not to be perfect, but just simply to step more and more and more into being better. Being my better self. Right? We are already amazing. The amazingness of who you are is already in there. We just have to polish the mirror, as Ram Dass says. We have to sand out the rough edges, right? And refine ourselves in such a way that the true, beautiful being that you are shines forth radiantly, because you've peeled away all the other things that aren't really authentically you. So I hope that this video empowers you today to be radically honest with yourself. I hope that it inspires you to be more at peace with your imperfections, knowing that other people also, who you probably admire, who you probably respect and look up to, are also working on being at peace with their own imperfections while they work on those imperfections. So I really pray that you found some inspiration in this video today, and I didn't come too heavy-handed with my passion around this topic. I think that this is something that needs to be touched on a bit more, is the other side of authenticity. Not just being really real and being yourself, but being free and just being however you want. Authenticity also is about being real about where you know you're not showing up in a way that you know you could show up. When you are being real about the places where you still have patterns that you're trying to break. When you're being real about your vices and the things that trip you up, that's also authenticity. Authenticity isn't just being real about only the good stuff in your life. It's being real about all the stuff in your life. So I hope that this helps you to just come into a place of authenticity with yourself at least, and know that it's all okay. It's all okay. The quicker you take acknowledgement and you take accountability for the things that are really happening, and you're authentically honest with yourself about them, the quicker you can move towards growth and evolving beyond those places where you feel limited, where you feel like you have your shortcomings, where you feel weak. Okay, I'm gonna get off my soapbox here. I love talking about authenticity, and this one really just was really important for me to touch on today. So, and I hope that you found it helpful in some way today. All right, leave a comment below if you liked this video, if you liked the topic of this video. You can also leave a comment below if you did not like this video and you did not like the topic, or you disagreed with something that I said. Please feel free to drop a comment below. And don't forget that my new online group coaching program is open for registration, The Empowered Way. If you'd like more information about weekly live group coaching with me, Transformation Tuesday, starting in November, I'll leave a link down below in the description of this video so that you can check it out. I'm super excited to start this program and work with you guys on really improving yourself in a way that empowers you. Hence the name of the program, The Empowered Way. All right, have an amazing week. So much love from my heart to yours. Wishing you the best, wishing you courage, and wishing you strength. Peace and blessings, and namaste.